Hi there, welcome back to the channel. If you followed the restoration of this Grundig 3028, you'll know that this radio came with no back panel. It was literally sitting around with its backside sticking out, which is not quite pleasant for a radio and actually quite dangerous. So obviously I had to create one. And what that entails is you've got to draw it. You've got to create a drawing, a precise drawing of the shape and also the text that goes on that back panel. And nowadays with CNCs and laser cutters and all that sort of thing, it's not difficult. The difficult part is actually creating the drawing accurately. And I did that. It's quite a relaxing but tedious step. If you enjoy that, great. If you don't, you can get someone to do it for you. But I'll show you how I did it on this one. And look at the result. It is looking really, really nice. It is not an exact copy in terms of the finish and the colors that the original would have, but this is my copy, this is my version, and I'm sticking with it. I love it. So if you want to see how that's done, and also how I added Bluetooth, that is the module that I've created, or the board that I created to use a Bluetooth module that then runs off the heater supply and is activated when you push pick up. Stick around, enjoy the video. This is how I created the back panel drawing. First I looked for a photo of the back panel of my radio, and here it is. But the first one I actually used was this one here, which is not the same one. This is the GB version, and mine is the original German version. And the first thing you'll notice is that this image is skewed. You can tell that by bringing the guides on here, but you do see that it matches. It fits perfectly to the right there, and to the left, and to the top. I'm talking about the top of the panel, and to the bottom of the panel. The way that I got the measurements is I actually measured the back of the radio, the space that I have left or have open, and I found it was 535 by 310 millimeters. I gave it an extra 3 millimeters at the bottom because I wanted to fit into that little ledge. That's what holds the bottom in place, and then the top will be held by some screws. This image was skewed in the Photoshop alternative that I use, which is Photopea, and it allows you to do this little trick where you make the sides perfectly horizontal and vertical. When I talk about the sides, I'm talking about the actual panel edges, make them straight. And then I create a rectangle of the size that I want, and I stretch the picture to the size that I want. That gives me the template to work on. But the one I used was not this one, it was this one. Once I've got that to the right size, from there to there, 535, from there to the bottom, 313, I start drawing. And the way I do it is literally trace, create lines along the edge. This is the main edge that I want. I create lines all the way across here. And what I'm doing is I'm creating two different sections. One is going to be the cut, and the other one is going to be the engrave or the print. Now the way this works is those laser cutters can both cut and engrave. So when I take this to the print shop, they do one power for cutting and another power for engraving. So I made it easier for them, and I created two different layer groups. The way that I draw over this is I make this less than 100% visible. So I'll make it opaque, and then I start the drawing process. So obviously the first thing will be the border, and there's that fine line you can see there. Now this has been slightly corrected because what I did is I did the first version, printed it on paper, cut it out to size, fitted it to the back of my radio to make sure that it was the same, that it actually fit properly. And the slight corrections that I made were to compensate for any deviation from the template that I had printed and the actual fitting on the radio. So that was the border. And if I hide this, you can see it better. That's the border. Then I did all the other cutouts, things like this, all these holes and those. I made two little indents over here for the screws that are going to hold this in place. And that is the lower cutouts, I think I called it. There we go. And we can see this. This is now the main cutout section. There are still some elements missing, and those are the holes, the air holes over here. They're these, and those over there. And that again was traced. These are the ones down here, and then the ones on the left and right. It's tedious work, especially reproducing these, but you do one, you copy it to there, then you copy two, and then four. You know what I mean. You just basically duplicate things and get them in the right position. Once you've got this side all done, you do a copy of that whole group and you put it to the left and you fit it on the holes that you see over there. So this is the cutout version, and you can see that if this thing went into a laser cutter, it would be perfect. These are all the cutouts that my radio will have, or that my radio needs to reproduce, to get a back panel that is consistent or equal to the original over there. Now, just as it is, it's not enough. You need the printing, and the printing is, printing can be challenging. I tackled the printing in two different stages. One is graphics, and these are these things over here. All these little drawings over here with the speaker and the earth, the pickup and the earth, the antenna, these logos. I call these graphics, so I did those separately. And again, this is done line by line, tracing what you see on the back, on the photo, on that photo, okay? It can be pretty tedious, but it works out pretty well. And then I did exactly the same thing for the text, everything that is text on the back of the radio. I had a bit of a challenge here because I didn't know exactly what font they were using. I ended up experimenting, and I found that Helvetica Neue compressed or condensed bold seemed to work out best, and you can adjust it and shift it and stretch it just to get it perfectly in on top of the text that you see on the photo, and we can see that it's pretty close. And I did pass the text through a spell check in German because I didn't want any errors. I had a few slight mistakes in the beginning, so I corrected those. And what I'm left with is this, literally in two sections. One is the cut and the one is the print. I give it to them, I tell them which is cut, which is print, and they do it. I exported this in EPS. You can export it in SVG format, various formats. You just got to ask the print shop what they want it in. I could not export it to Adobe Illustrator format because this software, this is Affinity Designer 2. It does not export directly to Adobe Illustrator format. So I asked them and they told me a whole lot of them. I found the EPS was the easiest one to use. And I've got to tell you, the final result astounded me. It really did. Came out exceptionally well. So that's how I did it. And if you need to reproduce your own, you'll figure that it's not as scary as it might initially seem. Alas, the Bluetooth FM transmitter didn't work for me. I tried it in different locations on the back of the chassis. I even tried creating a shielded enclosure. Of course, you can't shield it completely because you've got to have the Bluetooth module inside that device able to receive the Bluetooth signals. So I decided to revert back to my own and trusted system, which is the module board that I designed. And then you add one of these little modules in there. If you haven't seen this before, I'll put a link down below. There are various versions of this board. This one is the SMD version, which I decided to use because it's the smallest version, but there's also a through-hole version. And of course, the way this works is it receives Bluetooth. It sends the audio signal through here, which then goes to the phono input at the back on the inside. Okay, so to activate Bluetooth, you have to select phono on the front of the radio, and it is run by the 6.3 volts AC heater supply over here. And there's also another wire, which is the high voltage from the Magic Eye. And the reason is this Magic Eye switches off when you use phono. It's on when you have radio, any radio, whether it's FM or AM, but it's off when you use phono. So I decided to get that signal from the back of the Magic Eye tube, which happens to be on the same side of the cabinet or the enclosure that I'm going to place this on. And then that runs this relay, which when the signal disappears from here, in other words, when you select phono, it switches on the supply, the 6.3 volts AC supply to your Bluetooth module over here. The reason for that is to avoid buzzing and noise when you're not listening to the phono, right? You don't want any buzz or noise when you're listening to the radio. So I'm going to install that and then we'll give it a quick test. But this is pretty standard. I've done dozens of these. All right. I've got it installed in here. I've got a little strip at the top that I glued to the enclosure just to screw it in with two little wood screws on there. And I've got the radio on, what is it, long wave. You can hear the noise. If I press phono, you see the Bluetooth is starting to search for Bluetooth. Actually, I think it's found it. Let's just make sure it's found the right one. Yes, it has. I'm using the computer And if I go to some royalty-free music, brilliant. It actually sounds very, very good.
Porch light flicker on the siding, moths dancing like they know the tune. Porch light flicker on the siding, moths dancing like they know the tune.
This sounds amazing. It sounds really amazing. And now all I need to do is put the cover on, but before that I'll just show you where I've wired this. I've got 3 wires here, the 0 volts and 6.3. It's important that you get this right. So the 6.3 volts AC is really AC, it's not polarized, but the way this works is this thing here has got a booster circuit which has a voltage doubler, which means that you have to make sure that the 0 volts on the 6.3 line, which is usually the chassis, right, is the same 0 volts on the audio line going out. Again, the video on this module will explain exactly why that's important. But I've got 0 volts, 6.3 volts AC, and then I've got a high voltage line over here, the brown wire. The audio comes out here. It's configured for mono. This thing actually receives in stereo, but because these radios, this particular one doesn't have stereo, it's configured for mono, which means the 2 sides, the left and right, are added or summed through 2 resistors. So the signal going to the phono input at the back is a mono signal. Then that comes out here. We can actually just put the lid on for now. Okay. The 6.3 volts is being drawn from here. There's the black wire going to chassis, which is the ground for the 6.3 volts. And then I've wired it into that joint that I had between on the extension of the 6.3 volts winding on the transformer. So the 6.3 volts over here is as close to the source as possible. I don't think that's that important because this is a DC to DC isolation on here, but it's the most convenient for now. And the brown wire you see there is soldered to pin 6 of the 6E5S tube, the Magic Eye tube. That is the B plus for the Magic Eye, which means that when the Magic Eye is active, this thing is 200 and something volts, which means our relay inside the module is off. So our 6.3 volts is cut off from the module just so it doesn't make any noise, no buzz. And then the audio that's coming from the module goes into the back there, and it's soldered to the phono socket, phono input, being very careful to make sure that the ground is actually the ground over here. And that's now the source for the phono selection at the front. Our phono is now Bluetooth. And now all we need to do is to put the back cover on with the 2 screws, and we're good to go. You've got to make sure that you fit that into that groove over there so it fits perfectly. 2 screws over there, and we're done. Beautiful. And with that, the restoration is now truly complete. The radio is looking as good as it should. To me, the back panel looks amazing. I know it doesn't look exactly the same as the original. The original has got a darker color. It's more brown. The lettering's in gold. And I suppose if I wanted to, I could have gone to that extreme. But I don't mind this look. I actually like it. It gives it more of a personal touch. And nothing wrong with that. So I'm leaving it like this, and I'm happy to do so. So that is it. The Grundig Majestic 3028 is now complete, ready for use on a daily basis, whether I want to listen to radio, mostly FM, which is fantastic on the set, or whether I want to listen to Bluetooth. It's ready. And because this is the radio that motivated me to do all the German tube radios that I've done since then, this one is very special. So, folks, I do hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope you learned something. And if you have, click like, share, subscribe, and all that jazz. And if you want to support the channel directly, please do so on Patreon and PayPal. Links are in the description below. Once again, thanks for watching. Bye for now, and most of all, stay sane.